I have to introduce myself, I would just say I'm a single mom. I cycle quite passionately. I'm feminist. I try to be a little environmental conscious, but it's not obvious. It doesn't, at least I like to know where I am, and then if I'm doing something that is not very environmentally friendly, I know that I'm doing that.
I don't really know when this bug got into her. Perhaps her desire to be with nature or to promote eco-friendly pattern of behavior, things like that, which made her start cycling first.
So the first time that I rode a cycle successfully, because I've been attempting it for a while, and with my dad running behind me, holding the bike and things, and those were kind of disasters. But the first afternoon that I actually managed to ride on my own, and 40 years or something later, I still distinctly remember that experience. I distinctly remember the feeling I got when I finally did it. But that period of cycling was short, because then we moved to Bombay and my parents sold my bike, and I didn't again start cycling until I moved to Pune in my 20s. It was a really great place to come to. Village roads, country roads. These roads where I live right now were like country roads. Bought a cycle in the first month and started riding out for all kinds of reasons. I've cycled to commute. I've cycled again for environmental reasons. Now it's changed. Now my relationship with cycling has changed in the sense that in the last 3 or 4 years I've started cycling long distance or ultra-cycling. And it's more, I have to train in that. It's more of a sport than just leisure.
She has really amazed us all, particularly myself, to see her doing this at the age of in mid-40s now. And the real active cycling must have started about 7 years back, perhaps when she was 40 years old. And then she got into this, taking part in events.
And at that time, cycling was not very popular in our country. We didn't have imported brands. We had only the regular cycles, and I think it was not so cool. It was not thought of as very cool by most people. So I used to ride on my own. And what I really enjoyed doing back then, and I did that for over a decade, was to tour on the cycle. So I would just, it was like backpacking but on the cycle, and I really got to see the country. I got to engage with India in a really very meaningful way, because on a cycle you're not spending money, and there are no barriers between you and the villagers or the people that you're riding through. They could connect with me, though I look obviously so urban, and really we don't share so many common ground, but when I'm on a cycle, they're interested and they're willing to explore and talk to me about why I'm doing things, and it would start conversations, which actually I think that's the best part of this. Starting a conversation with another person can break down so many kind of barriers. So I found that cycling was a great medium to do that.
She started off and then gradually started taking part in shorter distances, 100 kilometers and 50 kilometers and things like that. And then she got on to the longer events.
And then the first time that I read online about a 200 kilometer ride that was the first one of its kind in India, in Bombay. And at that point I was feeling a little physically down, and my ultimate plan is to get into farming and move out of the city and have some kind of a sustainable lifestyle. And at that time I was thinking, okay, I don't know when this is going to happen. I'm probably going to be 50 or something when it does happen, and I don't know if I'll have the physical capability of farming my own land then. So I thought of doing the 200k ride as a sort of pick me up, let's see how I'm doing physically. And so that's how it started, with a completely different plan in my head. Did the 200 and didn't think I would do anything more, but it's kind of taken its own energy now.
Last year when she suddenly announced that she is going to take part in an event which is 1200 kilometers from Paris to Bray and back, and an event which is being held for the last 120 years, every fourth year. So we were really stunned. I said that she got a entry to take part in that.
I never used to train earlier. So only after I started getting into these long distance rides, and 200 is the first, it's just the beginning. It moves on to 300, 400, 600 and then 4-digit numbers, 1000, 1200. So that does require some amount of discipline, some amount of training. And previous to this, I never did it. I used to just pick up my bike and go, and I was a free bird, and I, explored where I wanted to. So that during this time that I transitioned to training, in the first year, I just got deadly bored of being on my cycle. It was like I had to force myself to get out there every morning and do whatever the training demanded, whatever it was, whether it was intervals or jo bhi karna hai, same route, same bike, same everything. And I actually hit the wall at that point. That's the only time. I've fallen, I've broken the knee, I've broken toes. And every time that I have an accident, it's a huge, at that point it's like hitting the wall. It's like literally, flying into a wall. But the first time that you get back on the bike is exhilarating. It's like, wow, I'm back again. One of the things that I tell people repeatedly about doing ultra sports of any kind, if you see even in running, a marathon in the 42 kilometers of running is a lot for an ordinary person to think of. But same way 200 kilometers or 300 kilometers cycling, when you think about it, you think, oh my god, that's a lot. But when you start moving towards that target and when you cross that number, there's a certain feeling of being able to do anything. And I've heard this from ultra athletes around the world, that just being able to push that limit gives you a huge sense of, it's not just achievement, it's a sense of knowing that you can actually target and do anything. And it's very transformational. It really transforms you from the inside, knowing that.
She graduated as an architect, and that profession she pursued only for a couple of years after her graduation.
I stopped practicing about 12 or 13 years back, and I celebrate every person who, kind of breaks from what they've trained into. Though I enjoyed practicing as an architect also, and I'm creative, I enjoyed handicraft more than I enjoyed architecture, because I like to work with my hands. So, and I like to create with my hands. So the whole thing of creating something which is aesthetically appealing with your own hands, that's what engages me.
Taking them out of the school and bringing them up in that's what you call it, homeschooling, and that also is a huge task actually to achieve, because then you are the principal, you are the teacher, you are the maker of the program, you are everything.
Because we homeschool, they don't go to school, so every time that I have to choose to travel somewhere for an event, I do discuss it with them to check if it's okay with them if I'm gone for that period of time. So in that sense, they do support it. Sometimes it's hard on them also when I'm gone for, but I think now they finally admire me a little bit. God, I had to work so hard to get that. Yeah. Recently somebody was writing an article on women cyclists and things, and I told her that there's a lot of negativism around it. And I've discussed this with some of the other women riders, because we ride through the night and we're on roads a fair amount of it alone. And the thing is that I have so many positive stories, so many positive interactions. I mean, if I had to pick a figure, I would say 90 to 95% of my encounters on the road with men have been positive. They're encouraging, they're really amazed that you're doing this, and they'll talk to you and they'll have questions, and or whether it's at a dhaba or we stop somewhere to buy something, and they really like the idea that you're being so courageous. So most of our encounters are like that. There have been bad encounters also, but it's unfortunate that small percentage of bad encounters tends to cloud everything. And really in India, if you look at the assaults on women, if you look at the statistics, the fact of the matter is that the largest percentage of incidents, abuse of women take place in their own homes. They don't take place on the streets. So this whole patriarchal thing about saying keep the women at home is like a horror story. It's like, oh my god, you keep them at home and then you get to abuse them. And the streets are not safe either because now the women are inside and there's only men roaming around getting, a little nuts about it. So you go back home because that's where your women are and then you can do whatever you want. It's really crazy. So I tell people, just get out there, the streets are safe and, why I do it and why I really think everybody should just get out and challenge themselves in some way is really about, one is that you create your own story. You create something that is very personal, very you, and you have no idea what that story is actually going to give you. You don't even know what the story is going to be. You may start off doing something and end up doing something completely different. But one of the things that I think we really need in today's world is that you become your own hero. You don't have to look for somebody else to hero worship. And I think that this whole hero worship culture all across the world it's cracking. You can see it in sports, you can see it in the leaders of our country or in other countries as well. You see the leadership in Europe, you look at the leadership in the US, and you think, we really need to change that. And it's only when we start actually living up to our own potential and living up to what we are capable of ourselves individually, I think that could really transform how the whole world can change with that, just by us doing something that we admire in ourselves, admiring ourselves. That's part of the reason why my kids don't go to school, is that school really crushes you in terms of, you're taught a part of the whole hero worship thing comes from learning to obey and learning to be a cog in a big society and learning to fit into the little hole that's been created for you. So really learning to be yourself, fitting into what your shape is part of the strong reason why.
I do not think that it's anything to do with our background, because she may not have seen that. I don't know if she was aware that I also took part in certain activities or something. I don't think that has been a reason for. It's just something from within her that she wanted to do. And even now she is going on at it. And we keep hearing about her doing this and doing that. And feel happy at home.